Hello, everyone. How are you doing? We're excited to learn how to give you agentic coding tools the full picture? Yeah, all right. Okay. So, hi, everyone. My name is Łukasz. You potentially saw me before in the previous presentation. And I'm a GM of engineering products at Miro. What that means is I'm trying to figure out, I really focus on finding ways that we can make engineers' lives easier. So lately, I spend my days just thinking about how the way code gets written is changing, and generally what that means for engineers, for their processes, and for the tools that they use. If you were in the keynote, you saw the concept, the general idea, and I want to show you right now how does it work if you apply it to a real engineering organization, in this case, our engineering organization. But before we get to that, I would love to hear from you. You know what's going on here. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Could you please take your phones out, scan this QR code, and soon we'll see what will happen. Hopefully nothing strange is going to show up on your phones. All right, I'm going to put the QR code just in case. I have a question. What do you believe would happen if AI doubled your engineer's coding speed tomorrow? What would be the first thing to break in your companies, in your organizations, in your startups, whatever it is? This is, by the way, my favorite question to ask to engineering leaders, because it shows kind of what are our biggest fears when it comes to the AI transformation. Cross-team alignment is winning hard. This is so crazy. In product and requirements, I assume there's not many product people in the audience if you are okay saying that PMs can't define things fast enough. But generally, this picture, I believe this is roughly what we hear quite regularly from the people that I speak to. One thing that I would say quite often gets highlighted more is the code review. That's what most engineering leaders are straight away worried about initially. So I kind of messed my slides a little bit. That's okay. We'll deal with it. So you heard this during the keynote. AI made individual engineers faster. It didn't result in making the organizations faster. So PRs that we make are bigger, the review queues are backing up, but the most importantly, the architecture decisions are now made by whoever is the first person to get to write the code, and sometimes that person is not even a person, it's an agent. So how do we get to this place? And I've been, as I said, I've been interviewing a lot of IC engineers, a lot of engineering leaders, and what I think happened is that engineers typically done all of their thinking when they touched the code. When they opened the code base, they started reading it, tracing dependencies, building kind of a mental model of the current state. That was the start, the kickoff of the design process. When you hand it all to agent, when the agent's responsible for writing the code, that step just disappears. So if engineers go from intent, from the idea, straight to implementation without that part in the middle where they go through all the thinking, that means that we kind of lose all of the understanding of what we're trying to build, kind of lose the ability to define it very clearly. And I know that a lot of organizations are now investing in spec-driven development or the techniques like that. I think that's great. But I gotta be honest, I don't believe that there's a lot of engineers that would like to trade looking at code into writing long markdown documents. So as a result, for me, it's very clear that engineers need a new space to start figuring things out, to see the system, propose changes, and usually also align with the rest of the team. Ideally, that would all happen before the agents start building, because otherwise we just end up with waste. And that's kind of what I want to show you today. There's 3 demos that I'm going to show you are the things that we actually did at Miro with our own product, our own code base, And the things that you're going to see are real situations, so shh, don't tell anyone, okay? And to be super honest, not all of those we caught when we were doing them. Some of these are realizations that we had after already finishing the work, being like, oh, this didn't go as well as we hoped. Maybe if we used Miro in this way, it would help. So hopefully, now knowing this, we will make sure to do it next time. So let's go through this. Basically, to summarize, there's 3 capabilities that engineers need right now, or 3 tools that they need, or 3 ways of using the tools. They need something to build shared understanding of the systems. They need a way for more effectively aligning across teams. And they need a place where they can make architectural decisions that agents can act on. And to double click into this one a little bit, it doesn't have to be active architecture decisions. We're not talking about design for the system that I'm building right now. Sometimes these are going to be, you know, the North Star of our architecture, the thing that we want to happen, but maybe not straight away. So to make sure that if we send agents to write some code, they don't go too far in the direction that we don't want to. Right, so the 3 demos that I promised you. One about onboarding, a typical situation where the team didn't build the code base that they need to work on, so they need to start with understanding and getting alignment fast. Then alignment, a very common situation, especially in big organizations, where you need to do a big migration, replatforming, or anything like that. You need to get 15 teams moving fast in one direction. And then code review. That probably stands out a little bit because it's the most individual use case. When we get all of those AI-generated pull requests getting bigger and bigger, reading through every single line of code becomes much more difficult. And we have a solution for that as well. All right, so demo time? Demo time. So demo 1, I'm building in someone else's code base. Big problem, I need to very quickly onboard myself onto a new code base. And how to do that? I think that visualizing code base is the thing that helps the most. You've seen it in the keynote. This is now applied into a very particular situation. So what happened in our company was one of our feature teams, a diagramming team, needed to add new tools to our MCP server, the same MCP server that hopefully you're all using with Miro right now. Now, they didn't build that server. A different team owns it. And we basically had 2 ways. A, we could go and ask that other team to build it for us. Now, that means dealing with prioritization, getting onto a backlog, and probably really struggling to get it prioritized the way we want. The alternative way, what we did, which is demo time. We used Claude to read that MCP server's code base and generate a technical overview on the Miro board. So what you're looking at right here is a general diagram of that code base. It's not a very complex thing, but it's still much easier to understand that way. Now, this is just a diagram. The thing that's amazing about using Miro MCP to document live code base is that you can get much more than just a diagram. If you think about this, if you look at this, this is a whole onboarding packet for an engineer. It's got everything. It's got documentation. It even got some snippets of code to help you think about how would we implement this new feature. And I guess the question that comes to mind is, why would I do this on Miro? So why would I not stay in Claude? Why would I not export it to somewhere else? Well, because if I do it on Miro, the team learns the landscape, they understand the new system, but that means they can also start sketching their solutions straight away on this thing that we just generated. And why that's important? Well, if you're writing in someone else's code base, at some point you'll have to ask them, is this okay? Are we doing the right thing? Are we building in a way that you would want us to build? And that gives us a great starting point. We're not starting from an empty document. We're not starting from a Slack thread where we start a conversation. We just have a current state that we can start designing on top of straight away. And that team can come in and start commenting whether this is the right approach, whether we're doing the right things, whether they would even, merge our pull request if we were to generate this code. So that not only gives us a place to start, it also makes sure that we're not making decisions based on something that's outdated. So the feature team that didn't own the code base, they were able to start very quickly. And the team that owned the code base could very quickly understand what we're trying to do and align on our approach. So as a result, we end up with faster code understanding, faster alignment, and shipping those very important change for us much faster without waiting for dependencies, prioritization, or anyone's time. So that was a pretty ideal situation. One team, one code base. What happens when we move into the more difficult place where it's a lot of changes across a lot of teams? So I need 15 teams to move. I'm a platform team. I decided to make a change. I need everyone to apply it. And this is actually happening in Miro right now. We are migrating 14 teams onto our new AI runtime called AI Engine. So things that you saw today, sidekicks, flows, connectors, the history, slides, voice, and everything else, it all needs to be onboarded on that new platform. Or it all was onboarded on our new platform. And here's the thing. The platform team that was building this did an amazing job. They wrote very thorough documentation. They prepared agentsmd files to make sure that you can use agentic tools with that code base. They had architecture specs. They had very clearly documented the ways that teams should approach it. They had Slack automations to make sure that the program management is automated as well. The information existed. It was all comprehensive. And honestly, it was kind of perfect for what the AI agents needed. But it kind of breaks when you're an engineer. And as an example, you're an engineer on a connected team. You open the doc and you have to mentally understand what are the things that apply to me, what are the things that I don't need to care about. And every single team has to do that filtering as well. So the question is not how to write better docs. The question is, can we take this very comprehensive picture of what this platform does and reshape it so every single team gets very clear instructions? For example, can I prepare something that will explain, this is exactly what you need to do, these are exactly the changes you need to apply? And it turns out that AI is actually pretty great at it. So moving on to the next demo, this is a very big board, I get that, but this is basically the whole documentation that was created by the AI Engine team to make sure that whoever implements a new tool or integrates into this platform, they know exactly what to do. So we have, an onboarding document. We have a lot of diagrams explaining all of the different concepts in our AI Engine. We have instruction how to build a tool, how to build an agent, how to build a skill. All of this is very helpful. But if I'm a team that is already rushing towards a deadline, I do not want to have to read through all of this. So what you can do instead is generate a very dedicated board or set of documents for a particular team. So this is what was generated for the AI Connectors team. It turned out that, it always happens this way. When there's a lot of things moving, when there's a lot of pieces that are in motion, you sometimes get the wrong decision. That happens, that's okay. Maybe you made this decision willingly, maybe you just missed it. But this basically allowed us to very quickly realize that, one of the endpoints that we're integrating with, it was for the old standard, not for the new AI engine. That's okay. We now understand what is it that we did not according to the new documentation, what do we need to change, what are the decisions that we need to make. And something like that is a very powerful tool for the platform team to use to, in a way, help those feature teams align. It kind of, replaces the need for very dedicated program management. On this board, you will see this mismatch between the plans and the reality very quickly. In Slack, it actually took 2 weeks. And, no one would like to be building those, but with AI, you can very quickly generate those. You can get a migration plan for every single team. And what's best is that migration plan speaks that team's language. It uses the terms that they use. It uses their way of planning, and it's just not another general architecture doc that they need to follow. So what do we get as a result? Teams understand much better what needs to be done, and we spend less time in lengthy alignment meetings. With just the use of AI to reshape that knowledge for every single audience, we create, rather than one big source of truth, we create 14 micro sources of truth for that particular team. That's not only faster, but it's also changing how we operate as a platform team with a feature team. It's a different relationship. And now, last demo, the third demo. This, I assume, is a problem that is getting worse and worse in every single organization right now. AI can generate code faster than humans, and AI can generate code faster than humans can review it. PRs are getting bigger. The reviewers quite often don't even understand why the code exists, or why the code has been written, or what is the decision for the architecture that's been done there. And it is very difficult to read through a 2,000-line pull request that has been all generated by AI. So if you think about this, it's great to have this speed, but if you don't have the understanding, it turns into a big risk. So I don't think the challenge is how do we replace humans at doing code reviews. I think the challenge is how can we keep them in the loop, but focus on the right changes that they need to be reviewing. And the solution for that is to make sure that all of those changes are made visible. So here is an example of, I was searching really hard to find a 2,000-line code change that happened lately. This is one of those. But I'm not going to be going deep into exactly what this code change is about. It's more about how did I generate this view. So this is a code review skill that we have in our set of plugins for all of the platform. Whether you're using Claude Code, whether you're using Codex, you can use this skill with anything. And what it does, it generates a visual summary of the changes that are in the pull request. So instead of looking at a pull request that's just a little description and a lot of file changes, you can have a little bit more of a scan of an idea of what has happened here. So, we start with a table that highlights what are all the files that change, what are the changes that happen in them, and how risky are they. So this is encoded in that scale. Our scale looks specifically at the risk level of every change. But I think what's magical about this is that for your organization, you can decide what this visualization should consider. Now, again, that still makes me need to look at code changes. But we have more stuff here. We have a generalized document that overviews all of the changes, highlights the high-risk areas, but it creates also a checklist and the questions for the person that created that pull request. So basically, this is all the ways to avoid having a person review that 2,000-line code change without knowing the context. What else do we have here? We have an analysis of the architecture that has been decided. There's a security analysis. There is diagrams to make it easier to know which parts were just introduced in that particular pull request. For me, for a person that has to review this code base, this makes it so much easier to create a mental model for the things that I want to focus on, for the things that I should focus on. So what does that enable us to do? It gives the team or gives the reviewers confidence that we're actually focusing on the right things, they're reviewing the right things, but gives the whole organization confidence that we're not just skipping code reviews, not just doing them quickly because there's so many of them to do. So, you know, when we let AI write the code, Miro can help humans review it with confidence and focus on the right things. So I would love for you to take away 3 things out of this presentation. I'll keep repeating this over and over again, but the bottlenecks have shifted. We made individual engineers faster. We now need to catch up with our organizations and help them match the speed of individual engineers. Miro is the layer between teams and agents, because we have this platform that enables you to create context for your agents, but also very easy for humans to operate on. It's not a lot of markdown files that you have to read. It's not a lot of memory that you cannot analyze yourself. It's visualized on a canvas in a format that you as a human can very quickly onboard yourself onto. And I gave you those 3 examples of what we did or what we wish we'd done at Miro, but I want to make sure that this lands very well. Miro, in this case, is a platform. It's a way for you to encode your way of working, whether it's as a Claude skill or whether you use flows or blueprints or templates. There's many different ways on Miro where you can codify your process to make sure that when you need alignment in teams, you get that. And what are the things that you can do right now? Well, first of all, I would love for all of you to try it out. So you can install Miro MCP. It's available for all of you. And you can go open your code base, any code base, open source code base, and just map up a service. Have some fun. Play with it. Figure out what answers it can give you. This is an amazing tool to get better understanding of the complexity of the technical systems that you work with. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of your teams will be very interested in this, and for that particular reasons, we're going to be running a webinar that's going to go through exactly the same content, just a little bit more depth, so you can share it with your teams, so they can find it, they can find a way of using it as well. And given that you're all here, go and talk to your account teams that are here, talk to me, talk to SEs who are outside. We would love to understand how you would see using these tools for yourself and your organization. And with that, I just would like to say thank you. Thank you for listening to me, and have a great day.